everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mahmoud. I am joined with a special guest today. I'll tell you why he's special. But we have Hardy Haenisch. He is the managing director and shareholder of Logimark, and he's also involved in another similar company called ARC. Um, Special because we mostly talked about, so far, we mostly talked about, different challenges about software industries or information technology industry. So we're kind of stepping to another direction because Hardy is coming back from a logistic and freight based company. I will let Hardy introduce himself so he can talk a little bit more about himself. Hardy, welcome to the channel.
Hey
Can you
Mahmoud.
introduce?
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for the invite. Glad to be here. Thank you so much. My
absolutely.
name is Hardy Haenisch. I'm the managing director of Logimark, which is a freight forwarding group in Asia. We're headquartered in Hong Kong, and we have offices across China, Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia, basically across Asia. Also involved with a company in the US called ARC, which is kind of a much smaller subsidiary here. Um, Personally based in Los Angeles. I'm originally from Germany, moved to Hong Kong when I was in my 20s. I was actually on a backpacking trip through Asia after my college days and kind of ended up getting a job in Hong Kong when I ran out of money. So I just, was lucky to end up in the freight forwarding industry, which in the 90s was a really booming industry in Hong Kong because Hong Kong being the gateway to China, everybody began to import from China at that time. So it was a great place to be, great place to start my career. And yeah, still in the industry, still having fun. That's about it.
Cool, cool. Yeah, this is I'm hoping that this is going to be a very good conversation because um you know I would want want you to sort of walk us through, how the freighting process work. I'm familiar with a little bit, maybe the audience not too much. So can you just walk us through like how does the freight gets involved in a shipping process and how does it work basically?
Yeah. So basically, when people ask me, what do you actually do? Even my parents, like, yeah, what do you do? I basically tell them like a travel agent for cargo, which is basically you have customers who are maybe importers, exporters. Let's say, for example, an importer in the US purchases shirts from a factory in Vietnam, right? So he buys the shirts, and then somehow when the shirts are produced, they need to get to the US somehow.
Mhm.
So there's basically two ways to do this: by air and by ocean. Ocean takes longer and is cheaper. Air is very quick, a couple of days, but it's much more expensive. So then the freight forwarder, his role is to purchase space on a plane or container space on a vessel from the shipping line and the airline and sell it to their customers. That's the short version of how the industry works.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so basically everything that we use in our day-to-day life probably at some point touches your industries, which is very fascinating.
Most of them, yeah. I mean, right now things are kind of moving back to the US a little bit,
Mhm.
right? A lot of industries are moving back or moving to Mexico or exploring different production markets. But yes, still, I would say, when you go to Home Depot or to Costco, I guess 70-80% of the stuff there is still manufactured in Asia, mainly China,
Mhm.
and has to be moved to the US somehow. Yeah.
So let's say in US, if something's manufactured in, I don't know, Texas or somewhere, um, they need to ship it out to other locations, right? So does the freight forwarder gets involved in there as well, or it's just always international?
Mahmoud, we are specializing in international. Of course, you have trucking services within the US that are kind of, let's say a shipment comes into Long Beach. So we've taken care of the international part. It's possible that the customer then also asks us to take care of the trucking from the port to wherever the warehouse is.
Mhm.
So yes, there is that part too. There are other types of freight forwarders that specialize more in trucking within the US or within North America. But it's slightly different industry. It's basically the same transportation, so it's basically the same concept.
Mhm.
But we specialize more in the international part of it.
Gotcha, gotcha. Cool. Talk to me a little bit more about Logimark. How did it get started? How did you get involved? Or were you one of the founders, or just
Well,
tell me
no,
about.
I didn't actually found the company, but so my colleagues, the management team at Logimark and we all worked together for a company called On Time Express,
Mhm.
a company that my partner and I founded in Hong Kong back in 1998. So at that time, we built that company from 4 employees in the beginning to 1,200 employees at the
Wow.
end. And in 2017, in the meantime, we had gone public in 2014. 2017, we got an offer from a Chinese group to acquire our company. And then, yeah, maybe it was a mistake, but we did sell the company. And so I didn't work for a while after the sale. And I kind of realized that, okay, I'm now 60, but realized that I need some activity in my life, some work. Yeah, too boring not to work. Didn't really know what to do with myself. So then we went ahead and started Logimark, or actually my colleagues started it first and I joined them. And yeah, so now we basically replicating a little bit what we used to do. We
Mhm.
built offices in the different countries in Asia, covering pretty much all of Asia now, building up the business again.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so that's exciting. Like, they say you can retire from a job, but you can never retire from your business.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are other people that have hobbies like they go golfing 3-4 times a week or whatever. I just never got into golf, and I don't have any hobbies that would keep me busy every day. So it kind of got to the point where, yeah, you get up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, you kind of wonder, okay, what am I going to do today? Nothing on the schedule, right? So it's a little sad, maybe, but well, that's
No,
just the
no,
way it is.
absolutely. Your passion, some people's passion is in golf, your passion is in building business. You're
Yeah.
rebuilding what you did once, so which is hard work because, we're a young company. I can
Mm.
see how difficult it is to go like start from scratch and then go get to that first step and first few steps. And then, it's always difficult to start build a business from scratch. But, once it's up and running, then you can have a little bit of a breathing moment and so on. I'm glad that you are doing it again.
Thanks.
Cool. So how big is Logimark, and
So Logimark, yeah, so we have around 300 plus employees in the group. We do around 250, maybe a little shy of 250 million revenue a year. Um,
That's pretty
we
good. Yeah.
handle around 6-7 thousand shipments a month. We have 25 offices across Asia. That gives you kind of an idea of the scale.
Yeah, it's sounds pretty big.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it sounds bigger than it is, maybe because there's 25 offices, but these offices are spread out over many countries. Um, the biggest country in terms of revenue and also in terms of manpower is of course China still, right? So Hong Kong, China is still our base, but the countries in Southeast Asia, especially Thailand, Vietnam, also Malaysia, Indonesia, are growing pretty rapidly right now. As quite a lot of production is moved out of China into, let's say, Vietnam, Thailand. So some countries have taken advantage of that now.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It's, it's great time to kind of be alive because everything and everyone, it's really globalization to its peak, I would say. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get
Yeah.
better, but
Yeah.
right now we're living at the peak.
Yeah.
At least I feel like. So walk me through some of the, technologies, like what sort of tech you guys use, and what are some of the, we'll get to the challenge a little bit later, but what are some of the
Mm.
technologies that you guys use?
Yeah. So basically, every freight forwarder needs what's called a freight management system, transportation management system. I think TMS is the abbreviation. And we use a system called CargoWise, which is kind of like the gold standard in the industry. Um, I wonder sometimes whether using CargoWise is a good option because the system offers so much in terms of options and possibilities, how to configure it, how to use it. I think we probably only use like 30-40% of what the system has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like buying a Ferrari and driving it at like 30 miles an hour, right? But yeah, it's a very good system. It is a good system. We just need to learn how to use it better. So that system basically gives you the functionality to create shipments in the system, to build a customer, to do your accounting work. So it has an accounting module that where the ledgers are and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is done in that system. We also built ourselves through a consultant that we used
Mm-hmm.
a visibility system on top of CargoWise. So that's kind of like a layer on top of CargoWise that just extracts data and presents it in a different way. We call it the dashboard or the portal. It's just easier to use somehow for us. And that's basically most of the technology that we use. Of course, we try to, our industry is very dependent on technology. And, 10, 20 years ago, it kind of looked like the giants in the industry, like huge companies like DHL, Kuehne+Nagel, Expeditors would take over the entire industry just because they had the technology that smaller companies like us were not able to provide. But you know this better than I do, Mahmoud. This type of technology has become so much easier for smaller companies to take advantage of. It's more available. It's cheaper. There's so many things that are happening. So I think that advantage that the big companies had is kind of evaporating a little bit right now, and smaller companies are more in a position to compete.
Yeah. I mean, the true growth happens when a larger subset of the market is growing at once, not just, the Amazons and DHLs
Mm.
and UPSs and all that, right? And this is one of our goals as a company, that we target mid and small size businesses to help them out, because, bigger company has their dedicated AI team. They're building their own AI from scratch. The small and medium guys will get left behind. That's kind of not fair. So that's where we come in. This is great. Yeah. Absolutely. I You mentioned you guys built a visibility system on top of CargoWise. Am I
Mhm.
getting it right? CargoWise.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know, maybe uh, on a high level, do you know if that tool is integrated with CargoWise? So that would explain if it has any open APIs or not.
Yeah, Mahmoud, the difference between you and me is you're a tech person, I'm not. So
No, sure, absolutely.
I
So
don't really know how to answer that, but it's basically a system that, yeah, I guess it's connected. It grabs data from CargoWise and just displays them in a different way.
that's what I
Uh,
needed to know.
so
Perfect. Yeah.
basically,
So that means it has, right, it has
it's probably an
capabilities
API.
of
Yeah.
connecting to third-party tools, third-party data, which is great. So
Mm.
that means CargoWise is a fairly modern and or at least in a modern tech state, which
Oh,
is
it
awesome.
definitely is. CargoWise is, I would guess that maybe 30-40% of freight forwarders in the world use CargoWise now. So they have been very successful. They're also very expensive. And that's with software, it's always like once you sign and you start using them, it becomes very difficult to make a switch and use someone
It's
else.
almost like Apple.
Yeah.
Once you're in Apple, very
So
hard to get out.
yeah. No.
So maybe next question. Once again, we're gonna go very not so technical. So have you guys used any sort of AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, or do you know any of your competitor or anyone in your field
Yeah.
uses some sort of AI?
Oh yeah. I mean, basically, that's one of my personal little pet projects or pet peeves. Like I try to push everyone in the company in the group to use AI more.
Mhm.
Um, so okay, there's the personal usage level, right, where people just use, like I use ChatGPT a lot.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, ChatGPT has its limitations in Asia. For in Hong Kong and in China, I think they can't access ChatGPT. So they use Microsoft Copilot. So that's the system that the group as a company mainly uses.
Mhm.
But so there's the personal usage aspect where people, especially in countries like, where English is not the first language, they often have to communicate in English. So they might use ChatGPT or AI to draft their emails for them, or translate their emails, or improve their style of their emails. Um, then there's stuff like you get an Excel sheet from someone, and instead of like making sense of it and reading it and understanding it, you put it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to analyze it, stuff like that, right? So that's something that obviously everybody should, I guess, if you're not doing that, and you're not being productive, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But as on a group company level, sure. I mean, we all know that we have to implement AI more, because if we don't, we're not going to be competitive, and we're going to be phased out
Yeah.
eventually.
No,
So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. See, the challenge here is, and we struggle with this as well, because Axion AI as a company, we don't want to be in a business where we, replace people with AI. But directly or indirectly, in the long run, that will probably happen at some point, at some scale. But we try to focus on how can we leverage AI to make you more efficient, make you more productive, make you
Mhm.
scale up faster, and better. So when you grow, instead of hiring new people, you're you can grow with whatever you have. So we look at the other way, not just, cutting cost and saving money. So we look at on a growth level that we can grow without, expending too much. And this is a challenge. Like if you are not in it, you're gonna be out of it pretty much, right? In next, I think there was a stat that said by the end of 2029 or 2030, 80% of the companies are gonna will be heavily dependent on some sort of AI, right?
Mhm.
And we are like just beginning to start on that right now. Just only the IT industry got hit the biggest so far, but it will like cascade down to other businesses as well. That being said, that do you feel like there are some challenges that your business or your industry have that can be resolved by AI, or just something that
Yeah.
you feel like slows you down, or something that you can improve on?
Yeah, I can maybe run you through what I think could be the use aspect, like how AI could be used, the use
Mhm,
cases of AI and freight forwarding. So one thing is, of course, accounting, right? Our accounting team, they're mainly based in Hong Kong.
mhm,
They are the kings of spreadsheets. You
mhm,
know, they do so many. They're really really good at Excel,
mhm,
and they use a lot of Excel.
mhm.
However, a lot of the stuff that they do is repetitive. Every month they generate the same reports. And I don't really know if this qualifies as AI, but I think it can be automated
Mhm.
very easily. Like if you
Absolutely.
have a spreadsheet and then you run a certain report every single month, that
Yep.
can probably be automated, and you can save half an hour of that person's time easily, right? So that's like something I'm really pushing right now, and I think we should, yeah, just eliminate that mindless work and free people up to do more meaningful stuff.
Right, right.
And then another aspect is obviously customer service. Everybody talks about AI agents and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm,
I don't really know whether that will work in our industry,
mhm,
because, I mean, to a certain extent, probably yes at some point, but a lot of the customer service work is more like people want to be talking to a person. They want to actually have someone real to talk to, right? It's not like
True,
booking a
true.
shipment like a hotel stay on Expedia or something, right?
Mhm.
And even that is annoying, right? Honestly,
Yeah. No,
that you have,
I'm with you on that. Like every time I'm
yeah,
texting or messaging someone, like, "Oh, I need to talk to a real person.
yeah,
I have a
yeah.
specific problem."
Yeah, so
Would
that's the
you?
customer service aspect. But then, like one aspect that where it could be used more is rates and quotations, right? So let's say customer asks you, "Hey, Hardy, give me a quote for my shipments like 2,000 kilos air freight from Hong Kong to LA." Right? Okay. If you had a database where you have all the rates in one place,
Mhm,
the AI agent or system or whatever could just go back to the database, grab the relevant rate,
mhm.
calculate how much the shipment would cost, add whatever margin you want to add up for that customer, and quote. That would be awesome. The only problem is, there are some aspects that are a little difficult with that, because we don't have a database with all these rates at the moment. Maybe that's something we have to work on over the next few years. But yeah, so
How
that's an aspect that could be possible.
great, great. Yeah. This is exciting. Yeah. So how would you give the code at right now? You said
So
there is no database, right? How would
yeah,
you code?
okay. So what happens is, let's say I'm the guy, the customer calls me. I call Air Freight Hong Kong, Air Freight team Hong Kong uh, knows what kind of rates we have from the different airlines that month. But they also, another thing that plays into that is how you mix the cargo, right? Like the rate that we have from the airline is probably more expensive than our selling rate to the customer, because that rate comes down by combining dense cargo, which is heavy, and volumetric cargo, which is big but light. And there's something called volume weight. So the airline charges you by the volume for, let's say, if you ship feathers versus rocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you ship feathers, if you just charge by the actual weight, you would pay almost
I
nothing, but
lose
the
money.
feathers
Yeah.
would fill up the whole plane. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a mechanism for that. So when you combine these types of shipments, your rates come down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit difficult to automate that, because it just depends on the situation that day, right? But yeah, so basically, I would ask the operations team to check the rate. They would give me the rate, and I would quote. And for sea freight, it's a little different, because sea freight, you just have container rates from the shipping lines for a month or for a longer period of time. So for sea freight, that would probably be more workable and much easier to implement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we will be working on implementing something that maybe in a year or two for the ocean freight part of things.
So sea freight, you're saying it's could be a little bit
Yeah, sea
simpler.
freight is more straightforward, right? You have a
Mhm.
container from I don't know, Shanghai to Oakland, and that container costs like $2,000. So that's pretty straightforward. That container rate changes every month, probably, or every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
But there's going to be a database where that can be captured. For air freight, it's much more complex.
Got you, got you.
Yeah.
Cool. No, but it's a solvable problem. It is a solvable problem. And I can already think a few solutions off the top of my head. So yeah, these are excellent points where AI can, like, for example, let's say someone calls you and you do this process, right? So one thing what AI can replace, instead of you picking up the phone, the AI picks up the phone. They'll have a real conversation. They'll pick up all the information, and then they will send it to your other team, right? Who's going to provide you the code. And then when they provide the code, the AI reads the code and then answers the client. So that's one way of doing that. Or you can do the entire process together in one place by however the other team generating the codes, if you train the AI to use the same logic, AI is going to basically do the same logic calculation and then give you back the final code. It is absolutely doable, and we have done it before. So there are interesting application. Probably not directly, but there's going to be a custom tool that needs to be built, and it's absolutely doable. Cool. So tell me, why Logimark? Why would, if I want to bring, I actually had a business back in 2027, 28. I used to sell for Amazon FBA. So
Mhm.
I'm familiar with some of the terms here and there. Um, so if I were to pick a freight forwarder, why Logimark? What do you guys do better than your competitors that I should pick you guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different aspects to our industry. The first is obviously rates, right? You have to be competitive in terms of pricing, and we try to be. Of course, we're not the biggest in the industry. If you look at companies that I just mentioned, Expeditors, Kuehne+Nagel, they are many times bigger than we are,
Mm,
and it's sometimes not easy to compete with them. But
mm,
on the other hand, our overheads are also less than theirs, so that gives us some space. So you have to be competitive, which mostly we are. Um, but then the service element is a big point, right? I mean, our industry is not commoditized to the extent that, for example, Amazon or whatever it is, right?
mm,
Retail. There are companies that are trying to do this, like there's a company called Uber Freight, for example, for road transportation in the US,
Hmm.
but that hasn't really worked out either, right? So it hasn't. The customer still needs the little problems and scenarios that happen. Customer needs someone to talk to on the phone or needs to get some information from someone.
Hmm.
So I think that this industry is probably never going to be totally commoditized. It'll go in that direction, but it won't go all the way.
Hmm.
So the service element, the element of knowing who is on the other side, having a personal relationship with people at the company is important,
Hmm.
and that's what all offices in Asia do. Both with local customers in Asia, we maintain local customers relationships, try to get out in the market and get to know people. And also, there's something called the agent business, where, for example, you have a freight forwarder in France that has a shipment from Hong Kong. So then now you need an agent in Hong Kong, meaning just another freight forwarder that's based in Hong Kong,
Hmm.
to book that, to pick up the shipment, book it with the airline, and invoice you the freight. And so in this case, the agent overseas would be our customer.
Hmm.
And in that case, the element of service and communication becomes even more important.
Hmm.
Um, so that is
You're
basically
doing
how we.
B2B at that point, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
And that, so B it's probably always going to be B2B, because whether it's a customer or
Yeah,
an
customers is still selling.
that would still be an importer, would never
Right,
really,
right.
as a freight forwarder, we don't really deal too much with individuals
Mm.
like
Yeah, yeah,
consumers. So
sure.
it's always going to be B2B. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Thank you so much for all this information. So Hardy, we're almost at time. So towards the end of our conversation in this podcast, I always like to ask people, um, do you have any suggestions or advice for a newer company, a tech company like ours,
Hmm.
if we were to, start investing in building tools for freight forwarders or, solving problems for freight forwarders?
Well, yeah, of course, if you want to build tools for freight forwarders, you need to understand that industry. That's true for any industry that you work for, I guess, right? You need to understand what drives the industry, how the mechanisms work, of course. But then the element that I think in any type of business is important is personal connection with your customer.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, if I know you, if let's say if you build an AI tool for us,
Hmm.
if I know that if I have a problem of any kind, if something doesn't work, I need something changed quickly, I
Hmm.
can call Mahmoud and he's going to take care of it. That's going to be a big part in my decision versus someone else who maybe never even responds to my emails until like a week later or whatever. I
Yep.
wouldn't feel comfortable working with that person. It's very much like that in my business. You got
Mm.
to be available for your customers. I wouldn't say 24/7, but at least during daytime hours, you have to be available. And it's not to that extent, probably, but to some extent, it'll be true for yours too.
No, absolutely. I think, yeah, you bring up a very good point, and we try to follow that. Like every single client that we have, I have a personal, like I have a forwarded message with them. So if anything goes wrong, I can like jump in and help. But we're still at that level that I can do it. But
Mm.
I hope to continue this as long as I like physically can. Hopefully, we'll come to a point where we'll have multiple owners or C-suite people who can actually dedicate it to
Yeah.
to the clients, to give them the best support. Even though we try to automate customer support as well, but our customer support automation is mostly for off hours. Like if you so we become the 24/7 service. So if you can talk to that person, they will try to resolve your issue as the best of their ability. If not, they'll say, okay, I'm taking a message for you. Somebody will give you a call back and get this resolved by tomorrow morning and so on and so forth. But
And
at least
and
we're
of course,
trying.
in my case, it's not. Of course, it's not me taking all
Of
phone
course, yeah.
calls. I have an awesome team of partners in Hong Kong and across Asia that we're building the company together with them, and we try to all. The leadership team has this mentality, right?
Yep.
We are available to the customer. We are reliable. We're honest.
Yep.
Uh, and we maintain the connection to the customer. These are core values of our company, right? So
Absolutely.
it's not just me; it's a whole team, obviously.
No, no, this is a good motto to follow. Absolutely. As we grow, I think we want to continue doing that as well. Hardy, thank you so much. I have learned a lot. I'm pretty sure our viewers have learned a lot from this conversation. If somebody wants to, do business with you or reach out to you with further questions or anything, what would be the best route?
The easiest way is probably to just look me up on LinkedIn, Hardy, Hardy, Haenisch, Haenisch. There's probably only one Hardy Haenisch in the world, I guess, at least on LinkedIn. And my email address is h.haenisch@hq.logimark-group.com. It's a little complicated, so
Sure.
LinkedIn is going to
No,
be easy.
I will link those information in the bio as well.
Thank you.
Hardy, thank you so much for your time and really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll keep in touch. And thank you guys for staying all the way through. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, Mahmoud. Appreciate it. Thanks.